Hey, wanted to talk to you real quick about how the insurance works when you're doing a lease option or a seller finance kind of deal. I had a client come to me the other day saying that they bought a home, they moved in, they want to get a new home policy. When we asked a few questions, basically what it turned out is that they didn't buy the home, they entered into a lease agreement or a lease option to purchase the home. Meaning that they've agreed on a price, they agreed to buy it, but they don't qualify for the loan yet. So the seller is going to lease it to them for a period of time, like a year, and then they're going to get the loan in a year's time and actually technically own the home at that point. So the way the insurance works on that is that on a lease option, technically the tenant living in the home is a tenant. They're not an owner of the property. So there's two types of policies that we need to talk about right here. The owner or the seller of the property who still is on title, who still owns the property, needs to have what's called a landlord policy or a dwelling fire policy to protect the building itself. The person buying the home or the tenant, the person entered into the lease agreement, needs to get a renter's policy, right? So the landlord policy, the first one we talked about, protects the building itself, but it doesn't protect any of the tenant's personal belongings, right? And the tenant or the person doing the lease option needs to have a renter's policy because they don't own the building, they can't insure the building, they're not responsible for the building, but they are responsible for all of their stuff. They have ownership in their stuff. And so the tenant policy or renter's policy is going to cover all the personal property, all the liability coverage, all of that kind of stuff, but it does not insure the building itself. The building's insured by the previous owner, the landlord, the one who's still on title. I shouldn't say previous owner because they're technically still the owner of the property, right? So if you're entering into a lease agreement or a lease option, make sure you're speaking with your insurance advisor, get the right kind of insurance in place. What you don't want to do as somebody who entered into a lease agreement is to get an actual homeowner's policy because you do not own the home. If you're not on title to the home, you don't have an insurable interest in the home is the language that the insurance policies use, and therefore the policy is invalid, right? You can't get that. So anyway, hope that helps clarify some of this stuff. Lease options are a great way to get into a home if you can't qualify for one right now. But again, it's always important to speak with a good insurance advisor to help explain the right coverages that you need, and then obviously do their best to make sure you're getting the best value. Hope you have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon.